guys. Welcome to the show, Mr. Music Critic himself, all the way from Switzerland. I got it right this time, right? Did I get it
You got
right
it
this
right.
time? Yes.
Yeah.
Courtney
Correct.
Duncan in the house, guys. Give it up for him. Woo! Hi, Courtney. How you doing?
I'm good. Chill. Bit bored
So
of this lockdown, but yeah.
Oh yeah, so I know the last time we talked to you, you said you guys were in, I guess, what the beginning stages of the lockdown over there in Switzerland. Where are you guys at now? You still locked down? Any hopes of reopening? What's happening?
So we have started to actually open up a few things. So like barbers are open now. Schools are open again now. Um, Transport has resumed to like normal. Flights you still can't come in or like go out, but stuff is beginning to open up again.
Stuff is beginning to open again. All right, cool. And you're still working from home, I presume.
Yeah. Working from home.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be with me here. I think it's what, evening time over there? What, 6 p.m. or something like that? 7? Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm in the middle of your dinner time, so I won't hold you long. But while I have you here, we did have a great conversation last time when we did some music reviews. Last time we talked about Pop Smoke. That was a great conversation. But this time we're going to talk about some different music because there's a lot of artists and music and a lot of things that's been dropping, that has dropped. So I definitely want to get your take on some of the music that has been released. I know we talked about 22 G's and some other individuals. And of course, we can't have this conversation without talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine as well, right? So I'm going to give you the floor and tell me about what you have seen that's been popping thus far. Like, who's the first person on deck we're going to speak about today?
Okay, well, we might as well let's start with Drake.
All right.
Let's start with Drake. So, Drake dropped his new mixtape, throwaway album, warm up thing. This Dark Lane demo tapes. So, I like the project. It's cool. I feel like it's very much Drake playing on, the leak culture. So I don't know, maybe you heard some of the tracks that came out before, like, The War came out.
Yeah, I like that.
Had that drill vibe. And then he had the one with Future, Desires. And then there was even like a whole album, like a Drake album, which I was sending around to like some friends, but they didn't like that because they were like, nah, they want to wait for the album to come out. I was like, well, I'm going to listen to this, so I'm not going to wait. So I feel like he kind of knew like stuff like that was happening. And then he kind of just acted on it and said, you know what, I'm going to drop a project now. This TikTok single, Tootsie Slide, is going crazy. So I might as well just put out something to get the attention going. So,
Now, I was reading some reviews and saw some posts, especially from some of the UK artists like Fredo and things like that. A lot of artists, especially overseas, are very mad at Drake because they feel like he's biting on their style, but they're not getting any credit. What do you think about that?
I feel like Drake does do that. Like, he is a bit of a culture vulture is a strong term. So, but he does know how to. I would say he's very much a businessman first. So he knows what sounds are popping. He always like kind of watches when songs are bubbling up, and he's been doing that for years. If you look back at his history with like McConan, like the Tuesday song, Party Next Door. The list is pretty much endless. He pretty much monitors what's going on in the industry, and then he kind of jumps on it while it's like bubbling up or while it's like piping hot, and that keeps him relevant so that his sound is always the current sound. So he doesn't really have to recreate his flows or his styles or anything. He can kind of say, look, you got a 5-year-old, you got, these guys popping off. Let me just jump on that wave, and then that keeps me in their audience as well as keeping my sounding like fresh. So he's smart at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you brought up Fabio. He has that record with Fabio that I have yet to listen to. I'm gonna listen to that. Maybe I'll play it on my station. I'm gonna listen to that because the little clip or snippet I heard sounds really nice. But he definitely is making sure that he has some type of hand in that whole drill lane and things like that. So I'm gonna listen to that Fabio for him. But speaking about him being relevant and Fabio Foreign, of course, another artist that you hear floating around when we're talking about drill, and that whole team over there is 22 G's, right? I know not so much about him. The only reason why I know about him because Pop Smoke brought mention to him, but you've heard his music, and I would like to know, what do you think? Give me some input on him.
Yeah, so 22G. So yeah, I reviewed his project. I didn't really know much about him, but like what I do when I go into any of my reviews, I always do a bit of background research. So I looked at some of his interviews on like Vlad and so on. And I feel like next to Pop Smoke, rest in peace, I feel like he's the one out, because I listened to a few like Brooklyn rappers since the last time we talked, and I was like, I'm not really feeling 5 year and so on. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna actually look to see who else is out there, like Chef G and all of these other people. I feel like he's the one who has the most raw like style. The way he delivers it is really authentic. I would say the most authentic to how the UK guys kind of used to do it before it popped off, and now it's kind of on both sides where the UK are doing it and Brooklyn are doing it. When the UK first inherited the sound from Chicago and they kind of decided to start doing their own version of drill, it was really like, they're gonna go and smoke somebody or whatever, they're gonna ride on ops and all of that stuff. And he has that kind of same style in the way that he does his tracks. He's not trying to make like a Shake the Room or like, Welcome to the Party. He's not trying to make hooky, catchy songs. It's really like, gruesome stuff. Like even the production that he has on his songs is quite dark. So yeah, it's a cool project. But
yeah,
in terms of my view on him, I'd say that for him to kind of get to the level of, Fabio and Pop Smoke, he would really have to kind of polish it off a bit, because I can't see that getting much radio circulation based on what you're talking about.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel that Fabio and Lil TJ is next up, and I can see how they would think that, and also I can see why you would give that piece of commentary, because they have figured out how to become very commercial. So that is a bit true. You need to have some type of commercial appeal. That's how I feel, and I think in order for the masses to capture, mainstream, let's just mainstream masses to, capture, gravitate to you and things like that. So we'll see what becomes of him. Now, moving on to the next artist. So we was talking about Drake, 22 G's. Now, who's the next one that we need to be keeping on the watch for?
Tory Lanez for me. That new Toronto Free is kind of old now, I guess. A couple of weeks, maybe like a month or something. That album for me is one of my favorite ones this year. That mixtape album. I feel like he was doing this new Toronto series right alongside the Chicks Tape series. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chicks Tape series.
I'm playing a couple of that on my playlist.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, he used to do both of those projects in parallel, the Chicks Tapes and the New Toronto series. And then in there, he would, it used to be all free, like on Dat Piff and all of those other sites. And then he, converted them both to albums on like streaming platforms. So for me, in this New Toronto Free series, project, he really like dialed into how he did the last project, New Toronto 2, which was like 2017, I think, or 2016. So yeah, I feel like he delivered some fire on that. You know, it's got high energy stuff. He's got lyrics on there. It's got a few, you know, chilled tunes on there for the gal. So yeah, I like that project.
Nah.
Yeah, that's probably the only ever one that's really getting to my attention. I'm not rating the new Chris Brown thing. That's kind of whack, to be honest.
Keeping on the same energy, talking about high energy. Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat have the #1 spot on Billboard with Say So, making quite a bit of buzz. This is Nicki Minaj's first #1, which I cannot believe that's an actual fact, but it is. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was quite surprised when I saw that the stats about that being her first #1. I was like, wow. I would think, you know, songs like I don't know, what Anaconda and all of those songs which were huge would have been #1s. But yeah, I mean, she's got #1 at last.
At last. Not too far behind her, Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce with Savage. I mean, I think this is going to be a nice little tit for tat battle.
That tune's a monster. I like Megan. I like her energy. She kind of, the way she attacks the songs is like, she attacks it like a dude. Like, it's not like,
she does.
Yeah, it's just like unapologetic. She's just like, yeah, it's fierce. I like the energy. So I like the remix as well. Beyonce is coming on there with some smoke.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting a bit of smoke because she hasn't posted the song on her IG page. I mean, maybe it's soon to come, but I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens with that. But in the light of talking about smoke, right? Tekashi 6ix9ine is back. The man is streaming all over the place. He got 45 mil plus YouTube streams. He broke the record on Instagram. I mean, not only is he trolling, but his address was dropped not once but twice. But this time he's a little further up in New York. What do you think about the return of 6ix9ine?
It's funny, this, like, you know, before he came out, I mean, probably like 3-4 weeks ago, I did like a video, like some throwaway thoughts on what I thought would happen with 6ix9ine, and there was people that were saying, you know, he should be cancelled, and you know, we can't support him. But I kind of, the way I look at 6ix9ine is quite objective. Like, I just look at him purely from a marketing standpoint, in terms of how he kind of uses his trolling and then he releases music. He trolls and then he releases music. So in that sense, I would say he's quite smart at what he does. Like, you know, snitching and whatever, yeah, that's never a topic. But I mean, in terms of what he's able to do to generate interest for his antics, yeah, it's quite amazing actually, that despite him being away for so long, he managed to come back and do 2 million on Instagram Live, and you know, I think his video's on like 70 million now or something crazy. So
some crazy number, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna do. I would see him dropping an album soon.
Fairly soon.
Yeah, he's gonna drop an album. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do like a Spanish album as well at some point.
Well, he signed a $10 million deal to do a Spanish and English album. And there's some further research that was done, is that the label he signed with that gave him the $10 million is somebody, I guess, I think it's from Slovakia. So I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Talking about people having bad feelings, Meek is all over social media trying to, quote unquote, as the report saying, clout chasing off of the 6ix9ine, you know, shenanigans. But the news report that came out from the blast says that there was some imagery of Rock Nation, a Rock Nation logo flash in his video, and that he may be signed to Rock Nation. We all know that Meek is also signed to Rock Nation. So if that is true, how you think that's going to fare out?
Yeah, I think I saw, actually, I did see this earlier on, and then I think I saw something which said that it wasn't correct, but I didn't click into it. If he was signed to Rock Nation alongside me, yeah, that would be kind of crazy. I could see why they would sign him because
Yes.
yeah, he'll make crazy money, he'll do crazy numbers.
Yeah, it's business, not personal.
Yeah, it's business, not personal. But I can't really see Jay-Z, you know, coming from the streets, coming from that kind of thing, aligning with somebody like 6ix9ine. It's a bit hot, you know. It's drawing a lot of attention.
Well, someone may make the argument. They're saying, may bring up the argument about how he signed or did the deal with NFL when he's supposed to have Cap's back.
Yeah.
So
Jay-Z
may
is
not
a
put it
businessman,
past him.
to be honest. Yeah, and stuff which Dame Dash says against him and all of that. So yeah, you're right there. Business is business.
It's business, not personal. Slime and B. You talked to me a little bit about it. I'm not so familiar. Tell me about this.
Okay, so this is probably one of the worst projects this year. But
we're only in May though.
Yes. So Slime and B, so that's the collaborative project with Chris Brown and Young Thug. So, you know, when I saw that this was being announced, I had lukewarm expectations. I mean, some people were like, yeah, this is gonna be a classic, this is gonna be the best thing on the streets. And I just knew that, you know, collaborative projects nowadays don't really sit up to the levels which let's say like a Watch the Throne. So for me, Watch the Throne, Jay-Z, Kanye is the best collaborative project I've ever heard. And the reason why is that was a crazy project. And the reason why is because they really were like finishing off each other's verses. You could see that they had like the topics that they're talking about kind of matched. But nowadays, with all of these collaborative projects, it's like they just sound like feature records. So it sounds like Chris Brown, in terms of this one, a lot of it sounds like Chris Brown kind of had like a load of songs and then he sent them to Thug, and then Thug just came on and just did his stuff. So then it's kind of like another Chris Brown project with Young Thug features across it. To me, that's how it sounds. In terms of like a better example of a Young Thug collaboration project, I'd look at Super Slimy. So that's Young Thug and Future. That was like a couple of years ago. And for that, because they kind of sit in the same box, so Thug and Future kind of have that same trap kind of, you know, auto-tuney, you know, syrup, blah, 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 that kind of lane. It kind of works, but Chris Brown's kind of trying to come on this, you know, missing you and all of this. Like, it just doesn't work with Thug. For me, it doesn't work, so I wasn't really rating it.
Yeah. Talking about getting excited, I see Nicki Stream Tream has just approached the building. I asked her to join us because I was listening to her live yesterday, and she brought up some really good points about fan interaction and engagement and supporting. So I wanted to, Nicki Stream Tream, I'm going to send you an invite if you can accept. If you can, I would like to get some great conversation about the importance of fans supporting their artists so they can reach those high numbers on Billboard. And she has some great conversations. So Nicki Stream Tream, I'm sending you a request. If you can accept. Oh, Nicki Stream Tream, are you here?
Hi, yes, I'm gonna be really quick though.
Oh, that's fine. No, that's fine. We're toward at the tail end of our conversation. So, Nicki Stream Tream, this is Courtney Duncan. He's an international urban music critic.
Hi.
So I wanted to have a quick conversation because you brought up some really good points in your life about the rallying around the support and getting your artists to getting said artists up the charts. Can you explain to me the strategic plan or the thought process and why you think that is so important?
So I can really just speak from what I've seen the Barb's be able to do for Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
As we all know, the last album she put out, Queen, was blackballed from radio. And even Spotify, they refuse to put Nicki on any of the playlists that you see all of the other top artists are placed on those playlists. And to prove that point, they only put Say So remix on the top hits playlist after it went number one, but every other song was on there, but it had to go number one just for them to put it on there, because they knew they would get flack if they didn't. So with Queen, it was blackballed and everything, but it still went platinum, all because the Barb's rallied behind her, because we knew what the industry was doing, and we just went out and spent our money. And just like with Say So, I think it was like 66,000 pure sales, 66,000 pure sales, just in that 1 week, for Say So. And the pure sales alone, I mean, the pure sales is what it helped it skyrocket to number one, of course. But fans just being able to support their favorite artists financially, like that's the biggest form of support. There are a lot of really big fan pages, and when everybody just works together, it helps to get the job done. For instance, with Say So, everybody came together. But there are some really good pages that can predict what's going to happen on the charts and can tell you what to do, because before the whole week, Savage was at the top of iTunes and all the other charts. But a prediction page pretty much told us, like, Barbz, you guys need to focus on pure sales, because in every other area you're doing well. And like radio, we were excelling, but they were like, just focus on pure sales, which the Barbz prefer to buy anyways. They haven't really tapped into the streaming, because Nicki was before the streaming era, even though she fought for streams, and that's why a lot of artists are eating right now because of the streaming, right? So but they just pretty much told us to focus on doing pure sales, and so that's what we did. We just bought. And the fact that Doja had the digital, she had it where you can buy the song digitally on her website. I think that's really what helped us take it to the top. Great. And this is another thing that was our secret, which is really not a secret because we posted it, but Nicki has a huge international presence. So a lot of her sales and streams come worldwide. And, with Billboard Hot 100, that's only USA. And so that's a big reason why we have been lacking on Billboard Hot 100, and why Nicki has never reached the number one, because her fans buy in their country. So she has number ones all over the country. So this time we asked the international fans to send their money to us, and we would buy. And so that's what we did. So my page alone got about over $55,000. I mean, $5,500. So about a lot of Barbz just went ahead and sent their money to my page, and I had a group of Barbz that bought the song for them. So that was kind of our secret weapon for Say So.
Man, that is genius. That's a good damn strategy, girl.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is so? Do you think it's really this Nicki Minaj propaganda, like hate train? Why do you, from a fan support perspective, why do you think that is so?
I think that so the issue with Spotify came at the release of Queen, but you have to think about it from let's just say, okay, Nicki has part ownership with Tidal. She has a deal with Apple with Queen Radio. What does Spotify have? So it can be a little jealousy issue too. You know what I'm saying? Because what deal has she given them? So, but the issue really came from when Queen got released. It was released early on Apple Music, but that wasn't on purpose. But that's when the issues with Spotify started to arise, I guess, because she did speak about it on Queen Radio at that time, how they were mad at her because of that. But when you're part owner and Tidal, and you have a deal with a Queen Radio deal with Apple Music, and then Tidal doesn't have anything, and you're one of the biggest artists, you know, in the world, you can be a little salty. And I do think there is an agenda with Nicki Minaj. I do think there's an agenda. Nicki has consumer influence. When you have consumer influence, you can get people to do whatever. And so as everybody knows, barbz will spend their money on Nicki. So I feel like that is one of the reasons. And also, when you win for so long, people want to see you take a L. They want to feel like you're human. They want to see you take a loss. So, I mean, she was winning for so long, still is winning, you know? So people don't like that. But I feel like the biggest thing is that she has consumer influence.
Good. Now, we know there's some other artists coming out. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. How do you think round 2 of the next Nicki Minaj album and Cardi B, how you think she's going to fare out with Nicki Minaj with this new #1 spot?
I'm just going to be very frank. I don't like to hear them mentioned in the same sentence because they don't compare at all, and she does not deserve to be in the same sentence with Nicki Minaj. Okay. I'm not, you know, that's just that on that.
Okay. That's that. If people want to, I mean, and once again, thank you for coming on. After I heard your live and heard your commentary, once Nicki dropped and got the #1, and to hearing your education in the back and how you was just dropping the gems, I automatically followed you because I love people who are knowledgeable about what they're talking about, and especially for someone who, like me, I guess you can call me more of like a consumer, a commercial consumer. But I've been following Nicki since, you know, day one. I'm not a barb or anything like that. I like all the music. I just like females that's doing good things, and so I really appreciate the education.
Anybody that's a fan of Nicki Minaj is a barb. Don't worry, it's not a bad thing.
Thank you. Now, if people want to follow you and be a part of what you got going on, where can they go and do that?
They can follow Nicki Stream Team on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Nicki Stream Team.
All right. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Courtney?
Question.
That was insightful, right?
Huh? Yeah. That was good.
Have you seen something like that overseas? Have you seen large support groups like that for Nicki Minaj or any artists? What do you think on? What are some of your takes on all the information she just gave us?
Yeah, it was quite interesting to see like the strategy behind, you know, studying the actual engagements and how they kind of go about, you know, getting the international support. And, you know, the streaming thing I was quite surprised by, because I would think that, you know, based on her demographic, most people would know about streaming now because it's been around for a while. In terms of the overall support groups, I don't really know of many. I mean, I don't follow those kind of pages anyway, but apart from the barbz, I feel like everybody knows about the barbz, even if you don't follow those kind of pages. So yeah, I wasn't really that surprised that they're going that hard on pushing the single to #1.
As we conclude our conversation, we're halfway through 2020. It's been a little rough, but while we're still in this quarantine, for some of those individuals that's still quarantined, what other music artists or genres do you recommend folks tap into while they have the opportunity?
Okay, that's a good question. Wasn't prepped for that one, but let me think. So there's a cool project which has dropped from Skepta, Young Ads, and Chip. So Chip was like an artist that was, you know, doing a lot of collaborations with American artists before. He was also based in Atlanta, I think. Skepta, I guess people will know about Skepta. He's pretty big in grime, and he does, you know, he's done quite a lot of stuff overseas as well. And Young Ads, he's a person who kind of does a similar style. Well, he's in a group called D Block Europe. So
Yes.
D Block. You know D Block Europe. I assume you know.
Yeah, that's Jada Kiss's cousin is in
Yeah,
that group.
yeah. So basically, D Block Europe is him and another guy, and yeah, they did a project. Him, Skepta, and Chip, and that's a cool little vibe. So that's my suggestion of something to check out. There isn't really much quality music that I've heard come out. I mean, I need to check out the Kalani. The Kalani project's meant to be pretty cool, but
Nice.
apart from that, nah, nothing blowing me away.
We have an audience call-in question right now. Go ahead and accept, and let's hear what you have to say before we close out our conversation with our guest. How you doing there?
Hey, how you doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. This is a great show so far.
Thank you so much.
Shout out to Nicki Stream Tream. But I wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
It was about when you were talking about women in hip hop, right? So
yes,
this is the thing, Dana. This is what's bothering me today, right? So everybody is quiet. Where's the Breakfast Club? Congratulations. Where's the Hot 97? Congratulations. Where are all these blogs? Where's what you call it? Everyday Struggle? All of that. You don't hear none of this. This is just like the UK tour when she took all those women on stage. On tour with her. Nothing. Everybody breathed. So that was a big moment that nobody talks about. And low key, it ain't even low key. It's high key. She now has the most collabs with female rappers.
Courtney, I want you to tap in on that because she was talking about commentators, blogs, and things like that, not really talking about what's going in the moment right now. What do you think about that? Why you don't think a lot of media partners or companies, organizations are speaking about this particular moment?
Yeah, I think it's true. There is very much alliances, with certain artists, certain platforms align with certain artists. Cardi B's pretty much the one that people are pushing the major platforms. Why? There's probably money exchange behind the scenes or whatever. I don't know about the details, the ins and outs, those kind of things. But yeah, it kind of baffles me sometimes, the lack of respect which Nicki gets, considering how long she's been in the game, considering, the quality of the bars that she delivers as a female rapper, not just like on the songs, the pop songs, like she really can stand alongside the likes of Lil Wayne, Kanye. She's, spun so many tracks. So yeah, I feel like once you get kind of blackballed for a better term, once you get kind of pulled in, a space where people don't want to promote you, they don't want to push you, then you're just going to have to find ways to work around what the industry are doing.
And that's the thing with her. She's always resilient. That's why I love her. Like, that's why I can say on the bar. It's not the music. I'm going to be honest. You know what I'm saying? I love Nicki music, but it's her resiliency. Like, I don't know any other artist, like I barely know any other person that's been through so much and gets knocked down so much and just still gets up. Like that's why yesterday felt so crazy. It took 2.5 hours for the results to come in. You know they knew by the time it was supposed to happen. Like stuff like that, just always something going on. So that's why I love her. It's about her always being resilient, no matter what it is. You can't tell me God don't have His hands on her. You can't can't tell me. Can't tell me that. Yeah, thank you guys for having guys.
Thank
you guys. Bye.
Sure. Listen, Courtney, I appreciate your time as always. You always drop me and my listeners and everyone with some good gems. If people want to continue following you on your journey and hearing some of your throwaway thoughts and your commentary, where can they go and do that?
Okay, so on Insta, you got me at Courtney IG. You can get inspiring. So I'll put a comment. Inspiring Rich on YouTube. So I do, reviews of these projects. All of the projects that I talked about, I've done reviews on YouTube. So you can look that up. And yeah, now that you've just mentioned, we've been talking about females and female artists and stuff, it just came back to my memory that last week I did say it was week 50 of my playlist, and so a playlist series that I do, and I did one special playlist specifically targeted to the female artists between the time periods of 90s to 2006. So there's 50 tracks on there. So yeah, basically, if you look me up on IG, then you'll see the link to the Spotify playlist, and yeah, it's there. So yeah,
dope. Well, thank you for your time. I will be looking forward to following you more on Instagram. And also, hey, feel free to come back and sit with me and chit chat.
Yeah, we'll do. Dope.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's my show. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, this is not all of me. I'll be back at my regular scheduled time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Station Head. But listen, you can find me on other platforms, which is on Instagram at I Am Carlotta's Corner. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Carlotta's Corner. And definitely make sure you tap on my icon. Give me a follow to see what's happening next. Other than that, then we're going to get out of here. Be safe, guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.